Welcome all of you. I am your instructor Priyanka Garaj. So today we will see how to create a data science pipeline. We will move step by step. So let's see that how to create the data science pipeline, the first step. As we all know that in data science pipeline, we have already studied the data science pipeline, the flow of the data science pipeline. So in the flow of the data science pipeline, the first thing is to gather the data. That is the gathering the data. So to gather the data, suppose I have gathered the data from various websites. So many websites are having the data set. They are providing the data set for the research work, or those who want to do a set of example in the machine learning or the data science, then they can make use of the data set. So there are lots of websites like UCI data repository, then Kaggle is there, from where you can download your data set of your choice. But over here, I have two small data sets. So we are taking very small data sets just for an example. So we will make it very simple as we are doing for the first time. And then we will increase the size of the data set. So over here, we are having the first one, that is the gathering the data. So I have two different data sets, that is the loan data set and the drug data set. So we will see in detail. So first thing that I want to load my data set in my notebook. So I will load my data set into my notebook. For that, I will make use of Pandas library. So over here, I will read a file using the Pandas library. And I will read two different types of file, that is the .csv file. .csv means the comma separated values, and the Excel file. So we have seen in the data science pipeline that when we are gathering the data, at that time what you have to do, you have to make the data set in a usable format. So the usable format was like either the Excel file or the CSV file, or we can say the JSON file or the XML file. But over here, we are taking two examples, that is how to read a CSV file and how to read the Excel file. So let's see how to read it. So over here, this is my notebook, and I'm importing the Pandas library. So how to import the Pandas library? That is the import function. Pandas, that is the library name, as I am writing the word as PD. So whenever in future I want to use the functions related to the Pandas, then I can write just PD dot and the function name, rather than to write the whole name as the Pandas. So you are writing this statement, if the Pandas library gets successfully imported, then the next statement will get executed. That is my print statement, that is the library imported. So I am running this cell and I am getting the output as library imported. So my Pandas library is successfully imported into my Jupyter notebook. Now I want to read two different files. The first one is the CSV file and the second one is the Excel file. So over here I am writing the code as PD, that is the pandas, dot as the operator, and I have an inbuilt function, that is read underscore CSV. So when I am writing read underscore CSV function, it means it Pandas library will help us to read the comma separated files, that is the .csv files. So we are writing over here, that is .read underscore CSV. And if you want to read the Excel file, then you have to just write, that is pd.read underscore Excel function. And as an argument, you have to pass the file name. So over here, as an argument, I am passing the file name with extension, that is the loan file, that is the loan.csv file. And over here, I am writing the file as drug.xlsx. That is, it is my Excel file. Now let's see what kind of loan.csv file might consist of. So over here, this is my loan underscore CSV file. So it contains the different attributes. Attributes means columns. So it contains the different attributes like unnamed, then what is the loan status, what is the principal amount, what are the terms, what is the effective date, what is the due date of the loan, what is the age, education, and the gender column. This is a very small data set. Over here I have taken 20 different rows. This data set contains my 20 different rows. So this is my loan underscore CSV file. Make sure that your Jupyter notebook file and your .csv file, it should be in the same folder. So over here you can see that it is my Jupyter notebook file, that is the reading file, and my loan data set and my drug data set. My all the three are in the same folder only. So I can directly write this statement, that is loan underscore CSV. If your data set and your notebook file both are in the different folder, then over here you have to give the path like this. That is the desktop I am writing and slash, and then the loan underscore CSV. If my data set, that is the loan underscore CSV, is present on the desktop, then you have to give the path like this. If your notebook file and your data set are both present in the different folder, then you have to mention the path. Otherwise you can directly write the file name and extension of the file name. So this is my loan data set, and in the type in Windows you can see over here that it is showing Microsoft Office Excel. It is the comma separated values file, that is it is the .csv file. You can also check it by going into the properties option, and the first option is the type of file, and it is showing it is the comma separated files. So the extension of this file is .csv. So now I am executing this file. So I am running this cell. Then you can see that you are not getting the output. It means what? This function, this line has successfully read the file and it is stored in my df variable. So we will say data frame. You can give any variable name. I am giving df variable because I will tell that as the data frame. So I have read all the contents of the file and it is transferred to my df variable. Now I want to view the contents. Then what we are writing? We are just writing the variable name, that is df, and we are running the cell. Then you can see over here you are getting the whole content of your file. That is the loan status, the principal, then the terms, effective date, due date, and education. So the complete data set is loaded into your Jupyter notebook. Now you can apply various processing steps on this data set that we will going to do in future. Now this data set is very large, so I have to scroll like this. So when I use the function, that is the df.head, what it will do? It will print only the first few rows, that is the first 5 rows. So by getting the first 5 rows, we will get the idea that what kind of data is there in the data set, which kind of different labels. Labels means which kind of column names are there. Then what kind of values are there into the loan status, what kind of values are there into the education status. So we can get this by using the df.head. So df.head will print the first few rows, that is the first 5 rows. And if I am writing a df.tail, then what it will do? It will print last few rows, that is the last 5 rows. So if you want to print both, then what you have to do? You just write it into the print statement. So you will get both one, because if I am not using the print function, then the whatever the last output you are printing, that will be displayed. So this is what it is, my whole data set. So just for now, suppose I am just printing the df.tail only. So make it simple. So this is my suppose last few rows, that is the last 5 rows of my data set. Now the second one is the my Excel file. So suppose I am taking another variable, that is df1, because the df variable I have already used. So now I am taking the next variable as the df1. So over here I am writing the function as pandas, that is pd dot, my function name is read underscore excel, and as an argument in the double quotes I have to write the file name with extension. So go to the folder. Now my this second file is the drug file. Let's see what type of information are there in the data set. So the data set have the columns name as age, gender, then the blood pressure, cholesterol value, and what type of drug they are taking. So this all are the column labels. So let's see what is the extension of this file. So go to the properties. It is telling the extension is .xlsx. So make sure what is the extension of the file. If the extension is .xlx, then you have to write accordingly. So over here I have confirmed my extension of the file, and then I am writing the extension over here. So when you are taking any data set, so please confirm that what is the extension of the file and write the code accordingly. That is the extension of the file over here accordingly. If the extension will be wrong, then your data set will not be loaded into your Jupyter notebook. So over here I am writing that is df1, and I want to print the first few rows. So what I will write, that is df1 dot head, and I am running this code. Then you can see my data set of the drug is now loaded. That is contains the column names as age, gender, cholesterol, blood pressure, and all. So this is what is about how to read the flat files, that is the CSV file and the Excel file. Now next we will see the descriptive statistics. Now what is a descriptive statistics is? So whatever information that you have gathered, whatever information that you are having in your data set, so it will summarize the data set. So descriptive statistics, what it will do, it will describe your data set. So from the describe word, they have given the name as the descriptive statistics. So the descriptive statistics will make use of the central tendency, that is finding of the mean, median, and mode. It will make use of the dispersion, that is the variability, measures of variance, and the skewness. This all we will study later on in the next lectures. Second is the inferential statistics. So there are two types of statistics, descriptive statistics and the inferential statistics. So in the inferential statistics, what it is, it will take only a random sample from the large data set, and it will make the judgments based on the probability to do the statistical analysis. So what is the difference between descriptive and inferential statistics? Descriptive statistics will describe the data, whereas inferential statistics mainly focus on the conclusion part. So descriptive statistics describes the situation, and inferential statistics, it will explain that what will happen in the near future, the likelihood of the occurrence of an event. Descriptive statistics collects, organizes, and analyzes the present data in a meaningful way, whereas the inferential statistic is based on the hypothesis. So this is what the basic difference is between the descriptive statistics and the inferential statistics. Now we have assumed that there are no missing values or no garbage values in our data. So now we will start the third part, that is the exploratory data analysis, that is the exploration or the visualization of the data part in the data science pipeline. So starting with that, in that we have to first study the descriptive analytics. Now this descriptive analytics is based on the descriptive statistics. So what it will do, it will understand the trends in the past data. So whatever occurred already that you have in your data set. So you have the past data, that what occurred in the past. So it will generate meaningful insights from the past data. So the primary objective of the descriptive analytics is innovative ways of data summarization. It means it will describe the data whatever you are having. It will just study the past data. Next is the predictive analytics. So there are three types of analytics: descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, and the prescriptive analytics. So we will see also that. So now the predictive analytics, we have already seen the descriptive analytics. After descriptive analytics, there comes predictive analytics. So the main aim of the predictive analytics is the probability of occurrence of a future event. So what will happen in the future? It means you have to predict that. To predict means what will happen in the future. So the example of the predictive analytics is the economic slowdown. Then the fraudulent transactions will occur in future or not. What is the insurance claim? What will be the stock market fluctuations in future? So you have to predict that the stock market fluctuation may go high or low. So you can predict that by using the different algorithms. So this is what the predictive analytics is. There are various applications of the predictive analytics. So the first one is the Amazon.com. Amazon.com is using the predictive analytics. You must have seen that such type of image that you may also like such products. If you are searching for the product on Amazon, then it is showing some recommendation that you may also like this products. You must have seen this type of image. If you are buying something, then they are telling that frequently bought together. So this book is frequently bought with the another book. So in combination, if you buy, then they are giving some discount. And whatever book you are searching for so that book related other books will be shown in the recommendations below. So you must have observed this. So what is this? It is the recommender system of the Amazon. So it is based on the predictive analytics. So it is reported that 35% Amazon sale is achieved through their recommender system. So this is what it is about the Amazon. Now the next is the Netflix. It also provides the predictive analytics, that is which movie their customer is likely to watch next. So 80% of the customer watch at Netflix is from the product recommendations. So if you like some cartoons related movie, then they are suggesting, the Netflix is suggesting the recommendation related to the animated movies. So the Netflix are telling that over 80% of what members watch comes from the recommendations. So whatever movies you are watching, 80% of them they are clicking from the recommendations. So like this, they are increasing their profit. Amazon is also increasing their profit by showing the recommendations. So they are gaining the profit by 35%, and Netflix is telling that over 80%, more than the 80%, the members watch the movies which are from the recommendations. Now the next comes is the prescriptive analytics. So it is used for choosing the optimal actions. Once again, the organization gains insights. So it is used in making the right choice and decision. So what is the link between descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics? So descriptive analytics, what it will do, it will mainly focus on what happened in the past. Predictive analytics, it will mainly focus on what will happen in future. And prescriptive analytics will mainly focus on what is the best action. So this is what the difference between the descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive is. So mainly most of the organizations, 70% of the organizations are only doing the descriptive analytics. 40% of the organization is only doing the predictive analytics, and only 5 to 10% of the organization are doing the prescriptive analytics. That is what you have studied from the past data and what you are predicting for the future. Then which will be your optimal solution? Optimal solution means your best solution. So which will be the best right choice and the decision to from the several alternatives. So this is the task of the prescriptive analytics, that is to decide the right path. So this is what the difference between all descriptive, predictive and prescriptive. Now there are some of the techniques based on the predictive and the prescriptive analytic techniques. So these are the techniques of the machine learning algorithm, that is the linear regression, logistic decision trees, random forest, linear programming and integer programming. So these are some of the techniques of predictive and prescriptive is. So just for your information, this is the list of the analytical techniques. So we are keeping it till here. Thank you all.